Oh, let's say you
s-
were spoken of
uh-huh.
as a spiritual spoken word artist.
Spiritual spoken word. That's some joke. You know what I'm saying?
Welcome back to Fishing Without Bait, a lifetime without definitive expectations, where we will continue our conversation with our delightful guest, Kid Mental. I choose. You chose to come on this show tonight.
I did. I chose that.
Yes,
I had it on my calendar.
yes. I choose
I
it.
chose to put it on my calendar, even though it was like it might have not been a day. It was just like, here's a suggestive day, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna choose the suggestion, and I'm gonna put it in my calendar, and boom, we're here.
If you understand and are willing to accept the consequences, everything in your life is a choice.
Yes, I was
It-
willing. This, well, it's not a consequence. Well, I guess it would be a consequence, wouldn't it? Because it's a consequence of action.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always look at the word consequence as a negative instead of just the fact that it's what happened after. It's just what it's just a reaction
Yes.
of previous.
Consequences doesn't necessarily mean punishment.
But because, growing up in a Christian environment, it was drilled into me to think that this was a negative thing, consequence. Never did I like really look at the word consequence as anything else. It was just like, this is a bad thing, but it's
No.
not. It's just a thing. It's
Consequences are merely something that follows a choice.
exactly.
That's all it is.
Yeah, it is. That's it.
So I speak at a lot of rehabs. So what I tell them is I explain this choice thing, and I say on the day in your life when everything becomes a choice, on that day you'll be free.
Free. There it is.
On that day you'll be free.
So true. So true.
So I bet, however, I don't want to steal your thunder because that's exactly what you're talking about.
What exactly?
You're talking about being free. You're talking about living your life.
Yes. However you want it.
And you making up these theme songs for people and describing their life. You're helping them expand.
Yeah. I hope so. I hope. It's always a hope.
Is it your intention to?
To make them change?
Yes. Well, to help them.
Just trying to help as much as I can. That's it. Whatever happens, happens.
If you brighten their day, even
Just a tiny bit.
iota,
just a smidgen.
What we try to do is we try to build up small victories.
Yeah.
People are always looking for the big one.
Yeah. That just happened to me just like Saturday when I was at the Touch a Truck and I was doing work, and it's so weird because I have not been able to stream. I have not been able to post as much as I used to. I've not been able to like give back to the community like I've been wanting to. And I've been trying to get to a point where I can just give back again. And sometimes you can get to a point where, hey, if nobody says anything, I guess I didn't really do anything and it doesn't really matter. But I feel deep inside that this is something I want to continue to do. Somebody pulled me aside and they were like, they were trying to put me somewhere. And they said, hey, do you work for this? And I said, yes, but I also do music. And then they said, I thought that was you. And I was like, what? And they're like, as soon as you started speaking, like your voice, I knew it was familiar. And, when we're doing this, podcast, nobody sees your face, but when I stream, people see my face and they hear my voice. When I do theme songs and present them, it's the same thing. So this is all they say. And this lady was like, I know you. And I'm like, how do you know me? And then she told me where. And I was like, what? And it's like, there's so much anonymity in what we do. People see us, but the people that watch us, we don't know who they are. We see names. That's it. I don't even see a picture. You just see names. That's it. And this person divulged their name
Uh-huh.
at the very end. And I was like, oh my God, like you were like one of the people who like made my day. When I was streaming, you would come in and you would interact with me, and we're both from the same city. And for some reason we knew this, but we just let it like pass through us. But for some reason, we're in the same area, the same time. I'm speaking, and that's how you remember me. Not how I look, not the black guy with the afro mohawk. Not that.
I love that mohawk,
It was
man.
my voice. Thank you.
I enjoy it. I love that.
And that's
If I had hair, I think I'd have one too.
that tiny, just her saying that and appreciating the fact that I do what I do gave me more energy to want to get to back where I was, so that I can continue to do more streams and to do more songs for different people. So
Sometimes when we get discouraged, uh, but if we're present and aware, we believe in the 12-step world, okay, that if we're present and aware, the divine creator, whoever will put people, places, and things in front of us, that if we're present and aware, then they'll have some meaning for us. That happened to you that day.
Yeah, yeah, that was crazy. I didn't, and I think her husband was there, and because she said my husband, she said something about her husband and her husband trying to do what I was doing, and then of course somebody walked by like muttering the social media that we were on, and I was like, was that him? Was that him? You know, but like, and then that connection hit me like twice, because it was like when she mentioned me and we actually got to hug in real life and, you know, say thank you and everything. But then that brings me back to when I was, you know, doing my other job and I was at Frick Mansion. Same thing happened. So that like, it's just through this whole year, it's been happening. I've not been able to stream. I've not been able to do anything. And two different people from different places were like, hey, I know you. And you don't realize it. And I'm like, wow, like,
You're planting seeds.
yeah, it's so great.
Through your music, through your podcast, through your presence, through your interaction with people, you're planting seeds. And however, sometimes, okay, we plant seeds that we never on trees we never get to climb.
Exactly. So I feel, you know, honored to be able to feel that and to get that back, to know that I did touch somebody, you know, and beyond somebody sending you an email or beyond somebody sending you a text, beyond that, like in real reality, an actual human being actually speaking out and talking to you and saying that.
Well, there's a big difference, okay, between being a human doing with this people who I can describe that as people who say same stuff, different day.
Yeah.
Okay. Rather than being a human be a being,
Doing
which
being.
you are.
I am
A
being
human being participates in life.
participating. Yeah. I miss that. I think that's the main craving that I have is just trying to be, just to participate in this and as much as I can, like this is what I have, this is what I have to offer, this is what I have to give. I'm trying to find other ways of giving, but if there's a way for me to do that and to live off of it, I think I would be a very happy person.
Well, we have to be realistic about our
Yeah.
lives. People come in and they give me all these fantastic scenarios, and I say, well, that sounds just great. However, what do you do to put gas in your car?
Yeah, exactly.
I'll say, I encourage people. We encourage people
Mm-hmm.
to keep their head in the clouds. But I say, here's the suck part of life.
Bring
Keep your feet in the ground.
Bring you down. Bring down a bit. But it's such a reality now more than any other time in our history to be able to do that as a quote unquote influencer. And I'm not trying to be an influencer. I'm just trying to be another person to let you know that we are people. And if that is an influencer, and if you can back that by donation or by help or by whatever, I'm pretty sure that that's possible for a lot of us. Not just a little bit either. I think there's people who just want to sponsor other people to make sure that, you know, they can spread that joy to other people. And if I had that backing and was able to focus on strictly that, I believe, you know, I could feed my children.
That's important. Not all of us have the luxury of being able to walk through the woods aimlessly, petting squirrels and playing magic flutes.
Right.
Okay, we have to put gas in our car.
Yeah, we do.
There's a certain amount of reality, but it depends how we do it. Whether we do something with joy and an opportunity, or we become drudgery.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about your music. You've also described yourself as a spiritual spoken word artist.
Did I write that somewhere? Where'd you get that?
I got it from an interview that you did with. It was either
Oh, so okay, I
Pittsburgh
said it
Post
once and then
Gazette.
I don't remember it anymore.
Well, I caught it right away.
Yeah, I don't. Could you repeat what you call what I said that I was on a podcast that I don't remember because I will.
Well, it wasn't on a podcast. It was in a print interview.
It was a print interview.
Pittsburgh Post Gazette.
Pittsburgh Post with Norman.
Yes.
Norman is the guy, man. He's so cool. I miss him. Didn't he? I think he moved to from the Post Gazette to another Tribune. Was it the Tribune? Oh man, yeah. So Norman was great. So what could you repeat what that was? Because you threw me off guard. I was like, I said that.
Well, it was either you or he.
Yeah, either way.
Let's say you were spoken of as a spiritual spoken word artist.
Spiritual spoken word. That's some joke. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? How would you perceive that? You as a Jimmy, how would you receive that?
A spiritual spoken word artist.
Yeah.
Somebody who speaks of their truth and interprets their life and shares what works in their life and observations of life without giving advice to others.
Man, I couldn't put it better. That feels like me. That feels like that is what we were trying to capture.
I haven't had an original thought in years, Kay. I've stolen everything else. Actually, one of our collaborators at times in interviews on this show was an artist, spoken word artist by the name of Joanna Lowe.
Joanna Lowe, okay.
And she has gone through some difficult times in her life and can express thoughts and feelings and life experiences through the spoken word. Not by singing or with music,
just spoken, yeah,
kind of lyrical poetry.
I resonate with that. I resonate because that was the one thing that made me. That's the one thing that I wanted to make sure that I didn't do was to preach. I wanted to express my feelings, and however, as long as I wasn't trying to preach it, to shove it down your throat. So by you saying that, that totally resonated with me.
So what I'm hearing through your words and your music is that you're attempting to talk with people and not at them.
Exactly. Yes.
No one wants to be talked at.
No one. No way. Nobody does that. But there are people who write music in that way, and I guess I'm fed up with it sometimes. So I don't want to be a part of anybody. If somebody describes me, I would hope that they would not describe that as like me, talking at them.
Now let's talk about the spiritual aspect of your life, Kay. Maybe you can share whatever you feel comfortable with about your background, about growing up with a pastor, a father who was a pastor and a mother who was a minister, and how that affected you and how that resonates in your life today.
I don't know where to start. I think growing up in a situation where you had no choice made me want to have choice. And so when I realized that I could break free from something so constricting, that it I guess it was a blessing that I grew up in a situation as though, because it freed my mind to understand that it actually, as a child, you were told not to question, blind faith, and what are they saying? I'm not saying that all of these. I'm not saying religion is this way, but I do know that cults exist, and we all know that cults exist, and we also know that there are some similar rules, to not question, to blindly believe. And because those were there, and because I had questions, made me start to think more about my situations, and made me understand that, there's more to everything than this tiny little circle of idealism, and we live in a vast universe. And for everything to come down to something so one dimensional, I would say, it made me realize how important it was for me to remove myself from that situation. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, sometimes religion has been defined as crowd control, and that spirituality is a personal connection with a higher power.
Indeed. But if that higher power is choking off your supply line to life itself, then you need to redirect or remove yourself from certain situations.
Please continue to watch for our next podcast where we have our continuing conversation with our guest, Kid Mental. And as always, a free prescription, fruits, nuts, and vegetables, and unplug your television and take up fishing. And for a truly mindful experience, we suggest that you fish without bait. Do a kindness for yourself and do a kindness for another. Forgive yourself and forgive another. If we're all not God's children, none of us are. Till all are free, none are free. Namaste.
Please check out our website at fishingwithoutbait.com, where you can listen to the show, comment on our discussions, and find out where you can subscribe to our podcast. If you're interested in flying the colors of Fishing Without Bait, click the shop icon on our website. We have clothing, mugs, cell phone cases, and so much more. Show the world that you fish without bait. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.